Welcome to the McCall College Community Conversation that we're having with a person that I know fairly well, and that's my wife, Nettie K. Nettie K, you could say, would be a YouTube superstar, as she has over 6,000 subscribers and over 500,000 views. And so we're really thrilled to bring her tonight to our live community conversations sponsored here by McCall College. And so welcome, Nettie K.
Hello. This is really different for me. I normally am behind the camera in my own studio, and I get to start over 5 million times if I need to, until I get my wheels on, and just tape and tape and tape, and then edit and then put it out there the best I can. So this is really different doing it live, and so you're just flying by the seat of your pants. It's awesome. Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're flying.
Yeah.
And you've got some interesting artwork that you're going to introduce to us. And then I think you're going to do a demonstration for us.
I am.
And so that will be wonderful. And so I'll just turn it over to you.
Okay.
And welcome to
Good.
the community conversation.
Yeah. That's very exciting. I'm working on a new piece, and I don't know how well you can see this. We've got a little bit of glare. We're learning about light and that sort of thing. This one's a real shiny one, and it's an abstract mixed media piece that starts out with acrylic underneath, and then lots of splashes, and then it's glazed in oil over the top. So a lot of times we think, oh, we have to pick a medium, we have to pick watercolor, we have to pick acrylic, we have to pick oil. But if you can learn what order to put things in, you can do all kinds of things. Now, I know many of you would love to become an artist, and you think, well, I can't draw, so I'm just going to paint an abstract. And when you start out painting abstract without any thought, and you think, well, if Jackson Pollock can do it by splashing paint, maybe I can make $1 million. No, you find out that there are some things that you need to know, even if you're doing abstract, so that it doesn't just look like, the tarp in the craft room in the kindergarten. Because when you start to paint, what happens is you tend to overmix colors, and you will make mud, and there are just certain things that have to happen. On this particular piece, I have some very clean color. I have some kind of orangish tan and some beautiful blues. And if I had mixed the tan with the blue together, what I would end up with would be a very, very dull color. And so one of the main things that we need to learn is about color, and the fact that color needs to be as clean as possible, meaning we don't mix it all up and make mud. That's one of my #1 things that I teach. But there's also some basic things that really will help us along the way in almost anything we paint, whether it be a still life, a landscape, or a portrait. There's certain basic elements that I hope in the next little while we will be able to cover. And so anyway, just wanted to share this one fun piece, and I'll post that somewhere, probably on my Etsy site at some point once it's all done. But I'm very excited about this new genre of work that I'm working on this stage. So I'm going to set that down. And then I've got out on my palette, I've just got an array of colors, and we've got a little bit of a cobalt teal, some purples, a little yellow. This is a violet color, which is a little bit more red than our dioxazine purple. This is an Indian yellow, a little bit of a blue, a cobalt blue, or that's an ultramarine blue, and then a big mess of sap green that I'm going to start with. One of the things that we have to watch out for, and I want to see if I've got this. Yeah, I've got just several canvases up here that I'm going to be playing around with, is that we need to learn some basics before we can just go doing a Bob Ross. You know, you think, well, he just used a big brush and was just messing around and it looked really easy. Have you ever tried doing a Bob Ross? Oh my goodness, there's a lot more to it than you really can imagine. So one of the things that I suggest, and I work with my students, is that we begin with still life. Oh, boring. I don't want a painting of a wine bottle and a cantaloupe and some grapes because there's a million of them. Well, there's a reason that there's a million of them. It's because that's where everybody kind of needs to start in order to get the structure right of various different shapes. So you have your cylinder, which is the wine bottle. You have a sphere, which is the cantaloupe. And then you have, you know, grapes, which are just kind of a lot of little tiny spheres, and a bunch of other things that go on in the middle of the picture. So what I thought we would do is I want to put this one down. This one's a little bit, I just put that one right in the garbage. That was fun. And now I've got some medium here, and I'm actually going to be using oil tonight. Now, a lot of times if you're with me out at Tamarack Resort and we're doing, you know, paint and sip, we'll be using acrylic paint primarily so that it doesn't get all over your car. Okay, but I like using oil whenever I can, and then, you know, I like playing around with all different kinds. So the one thing that we need to think about, and I'm going to pull this over, I've got a little bit of a shadow here, but when you're doing things like, say, a wine bottle, there is a really, really easy way to do that. I've just got a basic 1/2-inch brush here. And the main thing is don't go wandering off and trying to draw the outline of the bottle, okay? I want to, and this might get a little bit out of, a little bit off because I'm sitting way off to the side, but I'm going to do my best to begin with the top of the bottle on this thing. This is just my 1-inch brush. It's actually 1 inch. And I'm going to shoot straight down. And Dr. Brian, I hope you can tell I'm getting it straight down. Am I straight down, sort of? I hope. Yeah, I hope so. Looks pretty good from my angle. And normally you would be sitting directly right in front of the, your, you would be in like this, okay? You wouldn't be sitting off to the side. Because if you do, if you sit with your painting down on a table, you've got this much distortion, whoa, all the way down to there. So you really do want to sit right directly in front of your work. Okay, so that is one straight down, and that's not the side of the bottle, that's the middle of the bottle. What? Yes, it is. It's the middle. And so now I'm going to come along and I'm going to decide how long the neck is. I might make this just a little bit longer. This would be a real short bottle here if I'm not too careful. Okay, so I've got that. I'm going to come right alongside the bottle to make a mark about here and here, and I'm going to make the shoulders of the bottle just by taking this down, and I've put medium on it so that it isn't so that it goes a lot longer. Okay, that's what the medium is for. In this case, the paint goes farther if I put that little gel on it. And you can use water if you're using a water medium. Okay, that's acrylic, not with oil. No, you can't use it. But you can use an oil medium. And now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And I'm going to take another stripe down like this. You can almost see the shape of the bottle, can't you? Just about. And I'm landing it a little bit higher than that middle stroke as I'm coming down. I'm just going to come down like this, and then I'm going to kind of make a little curvature at the bottom, what I call a smile at the bottom. Okay, so now we have that shape, and then I'm going to give this a little bit of a shoulder like that, and a shoulder like this. And since I'm using this one brush, it seems to be, it looks fairly even. Now I just need to go back up and fix the top part of this again. And then I'm going to give this a little bit of a lip right there. And you can fuss around with it as much as you like. And so there is a basic shape of a bottle. Isn't that easy peasy lemon squeezy? Yes, it is. So now I know I've got a basic shape. I can mess around with that a little bit, and I'm pretty sure that that's fairly even on both sides. I can do that if I'm painting a ball jar, any kind of cylinder that I need to get straight, whether it be, you know, you can even use it for a tree trunk if you really want to. So now I'm thinking about what else needs to happen. Well, I've got a little rag in my hand, a little paper towel, and now I'm going to say, well, I need to know where the light is coming from. So generally, because I'm right-handed, this is an odd thing. The light generally comes from the right. We're more comfortable if we're right-handed having the light come from the right. And so now I'm going to take my rag at this stage, and I'm going to take out just a slight highlight like this, okay? And so that instantly looks as though it's slightly transparent. Isn't that cool? Yeah. All right, now the light's going to hit on here, and then it's going to come out slightly on the other side, but not right on the edge, on the inside of the edge, right like that. And it looks like it's coming through. And so the outside edge of the glass is thicker, and so it makes it dark on the outside, and then there's this wonderful light, and then I can come back in and I can do all kinds of crazy things. So I'll take a little bit of white. I think maybe I'm going to add a little tiny bit of teal to it. And let's see, that's pretty strong stuff. I'm going to take a little happens if I just put a little highlight just like that on the top of that jar. Oh, wow, that is so pretty. And then I think I'm going to come down and put a little bit of it right there. Okay. Generally, when there is a green piece of glass, there is an opposite color, and we're going to talk a little bit about the color wheel, which is the colors that vibrate in an opposite way. And I like to think about one of my favorite complementary colors is Christmas colors, okay? So I've got a green jar here, green bottle, and so the opposite to that is red, okay? So that's one out of your, I like to do them in sets of three. So the first one is red and green, and then there's another one which would be orange and blue and yellow and purple. Okay, so those are my three sets that I think about. And then I'm going to come in with a reddish color. This is a violet color, and you can use different reds. And then I'm going to come around and I'm going to put this at the bottom. I'm going to put a little bit of a red color here, and it just makes it really look interesting. And then along the edge of this glass, put a little bit of green. And then I see that this is going to be what's called an ellipse at the bottom. An ellipse is a flattened oval in perspective, okay? It's not a circle. It's a circle in perspective, but it comes around here. So I'm going to come in here with a little letter C, little backwards letter C, and then I will kind of create a little reddish little circle like that. Not a circle. No laughing. It's a little lopsided. That's okay. You can take your time in your own place and really do a good job. So I'm going to put a little bit more of that red, and I can keep messing around with that. If I want to put some liquid in there, say this would be, oh, let's see, before I do that, I want to come up here and also emphasize this, and then I'll put the back part of that by creating that little kind of weirdo ellipse there, and then I'll come down just with a delicate red on the edge of that bottle. If I want it to have a little bit of that feeling as though it's got wine in it, I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, how much do I want? I think maybe I'll put that in like this, and I'm going to try to match that up if I possibly can. I'll come around and bring it in like this, and then I'm going to fill this up with that same kind of red like that. And I just messed up my really nice highlight for that light that came through there, but that's okay. And you can use a darker red. You can, really make it. This one's seriously red here. And then I might even come back in that green just to darken it up along the side, because it's darker where the glass is thicker. Then I'll come back up here with my red. I'm going to add a little bit of, maybe a little tiny bit of white, and I will put in, let's see, I'm going to put in a little bit of a lighter color here, maybe a little bit of that Indian yellow with some white, and we're going to just create the top surface of the wine. And we're just kind of messing around with it like that. Isn't that fun? Okay, then I'll come back in maybe with a little bit of that yellow and maybe give it a little bit of a transparent feel, maybe a little bit down here like that. So that, I know that you just think, oh, that looks so easy, but I'm sure it isn't. No, it really is pretty easy once you get it down. Okay, now what's wrong with this? Well, it's not sitting on anything. It's just kind of hanging in the middle of the air. So let's think about maybe putting in a little bit of a table background. Now, if I put in a table, I don't want to put it right in line with this this plane or this line and this line. I want to find somewhere else. I can go below it or above it, but I think I'm going to go a little bit below this time, and I'll put in just the indication of a table. And meanwhile, if you're doing this, make sure you're sitting right dead center of this so that you don't mess up. And so I'll put in this little kind of an orangish table like this, and we'll just kind of give it a little kind of a wood type table. And you can see how that highlight or that little reflective light in there really matches up with what's in the table, because you want it to kind of feel as though you can sort of see through that a little bit. If you're doing seriously transparent glass, it's a lot of fun too. But you want to be aware of what's behind the bottle, and then just kind of mess around with it like this. Okay. So I'm just going to fill that in, go as fast as I can without being sloppy. And we'll just kind of make this table like this. Okay. Now that's still fairly flat. Let's see what happens if I put just a little bit of that table color, kind of just, I don't know if that's going to show up. We'll see. This is the transparent colors take a little bit of white in order for them not to be transparent. So I've just put a little indication of a little bit of that reflection of that table underneath there like this. If I want the light to come down here and then come out here, I might add a little bit of white to that beautiful Indian yellow. Isn't that gorgeous? Wow-wee. So pretty. And so I end up with this pretty yellow that's coming across. I just cut into my bottle. That's okay. And then what else I want is I want to have a shadow to where this thing is sitting down on something. So I'm going to grab a little bit of a dark purple. I'm going to throw in a little dark purple underneath there. That's the parting line on that bottle as it's coming down. And then I'm going to come alongside this bottle, and I'm going to create a cast shadow. I want to come just a little bit above where that bottle turns back into space, and then maybe a little bit below. And there we go. It's kind of buzzing out all over here. And then I think it's got red liquid in there, so you can go either direction and put a little bit of red in there. And then I think I also want to just put in a little bit of that sap green and some teal. And I'm just going to put in a little bit of a light that's coming through, so it feels as though there's some light coming through. Hopefully you can see that. This, okay, you can see that right there. A little bit of a light, and it just makes it really, excuse me, really exciting. So now I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to find the lip underneath. You notice I still got the same 2-inch brush. Oh my goodness, I'm still doing this. I'm going to put that little lip right there. And then I'm also going to add a highlight, another highlight along there of that teal. So I've got teal, sap green, and reds and yellows, all to paint a green bottle with red wine in it. Isn't that cool? I kind of like that. And you can get all crazy with the background and make it, you know, do all kinds of things. But I wanted to show you how to make it even on both sides to start with. how to make it look like reflective glass, and how to set off the light behind a darkened bottle. Any questions? I wish I could answer them if I had. We'll get that down, won't we, Dr. Williams? We're going to get to that point where we'll be able to take some questions. Now, everybody, if you don't realize what I'm painting on, this particular surface that I'm painting on is a panel. And so it's a masonite panel that has been primed actually with chalkboard paint that I mixed up, but normally you would use a gesso to prime your canvases or your boards or whatever. You would use kind of a regular gesso for paintings, and this one's just really nice and smooth. And it, you know, it can cause a little bit of a shine sometimes if you're trying to take pictures of it or film, but it makes the colors really stand up and shout. A lot of our professional artists are now moving into painting on panel. They're changing from linen canvas to painting on panel, and this is not those cheapo canvas boards that you can buy 12 to a package for $1. You know, this is more really high quality, nice, primed, not warped, pristine, beautiful panels, and that's what we love to paint on these days. So that's just one of the little things that that I just love to do. Okay, so that's our first little thing, and I want you to think about, is there anything that you can think about that would be in this particular shape? Okay, so you've got like a glass, a bottle, an elephant's trunk, a tree trunk, all kinds of things. Now, certain things are not obviously transparent, but you can use this shape for so many things. Guess what else? My arm, okay? I paint my arm in the same way, except for it's not see-through, okay? And probably has a few more bumps on it. Okay, so anyway, that one, I'm going to set this one aside. Ooh, mercy me. Okay, set that one aside. And now I want to show you one more shape, and this one is on a canvas. This is a canvas that's a little bit darker. And so, are we doing okay here for time? I hope we are. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to show you how to paint a sphere. Okay, and spheres would be like, you know, we use that same general shape for things like apples and lemons and people's heads, you know, that kind of thing. It's a ball. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to now, I'm just wondering if this is too shiny. I hope not. Hopefully. So I'm going to start with a middle tone, and I think this time I am going to use a just a teal, since that's my favorite color right now. And we're going to just create a circle that looks about the same tonal value as the background, doesn't it? I hope I can see that. I can't even see it. It's the same tonal value. Okay, so I'm going to switch canvases. This one's way too dark. I can't even see that, so I'm going to throw that one in the garbage over here. All right, we'll work on it over here. So let's try something a little more contrasting. I'm going to make it into a nice yellow orange. We tried different backgrounds, and this one's on just a regular canvas. And so I'm going to make a circle with my yellow orange, and that's kind of a middle tone. And I'm just going to play around with this a little bit. And then I'm going to add the highlight right here. There's the highlight. And then easy, I'm going to just take a little bit of, I'm not worried about making it into a yellow ball. I'm making it into just a ball that has the shape. So I've got a middle tone, that's the basic. I've got a light up here, that's the highlight. And I have a darker side over here. That is the dark side of this sphere. Now, one of the things that you would use this for as well, outside of oranges and apples and everything else, when you're painting the cornea in somebody's eye, you're going to have a similar kind of a thing going on here. And then the same thing, I'm going to take this and I'm going to make a, I'll make a tabletop like this. Okay, I'll make a tabletop. There it's sitting on the tabletop, and then I'm going to take a dark shadow and bring it down here like this and make a nice little dark shadow. This is something that we do in all of my beginning classes. And we practice that and we work on making the sphere just like that. And so that's pretty easy. And so practice that one in pencil too. What am I looking at? I want a minimum on everything that I paint. Everything that I paint. You know the word three-dimensional? That's two words. Three-dimensional means there's 3 dimensions. Okay, so there needs to be 3, not necessarily 3 colors, but 3 what's called tonal values. So there has to be a dark and a middle color and a light. That's the least amount of tonal values to make something look believable. Okay. I remember listening to Helen Van Wyck years ago, and she would say, if it doesn't have to be photorealistic, but it has to be plausible. In other words, it's got to be, you got to believe what it is, you know, just by making it to the point where it's sort of real. So that means you need 3 things. You need the dark, the middle tone, and the light. It's even better if you have the dark, the middle tone, and the light, and then a highlight on one end and a cast shadow on the other, and that's what that is right there. It's a cast shadow that sets things down. And so when you're drawing something or painting something, ask yourself, anything that I'm drawing, okay, do I have 3 things in here? Do I have at least 3 tonal values? Yes or no? And go through your whole picture and make sure that you've got at least 3 tonal values. That's critical, you know, and you got to make sure that if you've got 2 things going on in the same picture, make sure that you know where the light source is coming from. Because if all of a sudden I changed and put the highlight on the opposite color, on the opposite side, I'm going to have a problem there. So that's just part of what we know to do. Anyway, let's see. So now here's another thing. I've got this thing right here, and I've got the ball right there. How do I make it look 3-dimensional if I have more than one thing in the painting? Okay, well, there's a couple of ways. Number one, you have the 3 tonal values, right? But now, what would happen if I stuck our bottle in the same picture? And I may have to move this a little bit. Let's see, I might move the, well, no, I think I can do it. Now, one of the ways that we do that, I'm going to go like this. Here's my bottle again. And I'm going to pretend it just drops off behind there. And then I'll put a short bottle in. Okay, just a little short jar, right like that. And the thing that makes this look as though it's 3-dimensional, generally you want to start with the back first, but I didn't, is that we overlap. Okay, so you see how that looks as though it's behind that yellow ball. Our green jar right here is behind the yellow ball, right? Okay, so I'll make it look a little bit farther behind like this. You want to get your table in the right place too. And then I might just make this one into a regular pickle jar. Okay, I'm just going to go like this. We won't get too fancy with it like that. And then I can come in with my little jar. I can, if this is slippery enough and it's dry behind there, I can come in with my rag and give it a nice little highlight along the side. Take my little peel again. This is a little bit of a review of what we just did. And then I'm going to take, ooh, that's really exciting. Really, really exciting. Now, if that's too much, then I'm going to just wiggle it back and forth a little bit, take my rag, and then go like that. Now, when the light's coming down here, up on the rim, I'm going to hit it along the rim of the open mouth jar, and I'm going to come over here and put in a light on the opposite side. And then I'll make this dark on the inside right here. So, because the light is going to cast, it's going to hit on one side and cast a shadow in the middle, right like that. And I just kind of fuse that together. A little bit darker over here. I need a little bit bigger rim. I hope you can kind of catch my drift. This is a solid jar here. Solid thing. And I'll see if I can get that evened out. You do want your ellipses to kind of work out a little bit better than that, but like that. Okay, I don't want that big stripe in the middle either. So I'm taking my brush, I'm just gonna go sideways like this. Then I'll come back in and restate it one more time, and hopefully that'll look nice and shiny, and a little bit shiny on that edge there like that. So that kind of makes a fun thing. Now that looks like it's gonna fall right off the table, doesn't it? Because it's sitting right on the edge of the table. Oh, okay, now we gotta raise our table up and put it back in the back. Adjust. There we go. That gives me a little bit more room on this table so that I can kind of fill that in a little bit, give it a little bit more space. Okay, now, I don't know if I wanted that color table, but we'll just have to put that in like that. Okay, so I hope that kind of helps you kind of figure out how to overlap and make things three-dimensional. I can keep going forward and add cherries and all kinds of stuff, you know, in the front, put a big shoe there if I want. I can put any items that I want. When I talk about still life, some people, you know, it just seems like such a boring thing, but really it isn't, especially if you can get it down really, really well. And so you find the most favorite things in your life. What's your favorite things? Your favorite food, you know. Ice cream's a little bit tough unless you take a picture because it'll melt by the time you get it down. Your favorite beverage, your favorite thing that you like to drink out of your favorite mug, and your favorite fruit. You can do a still life with bigger things too. I noticed the neighbor kids had their big blow up toys for the beach. I thought, wow, that would make a great still life too, with their great big huge, you know, unicorn, and that would make a fun still life. So find the things that you really enjoy living with, the things, the articles in your life that you love, your favorite color, and paint that, and you will enjoy it. It doesn't have to be a fancy landscape. Paint something simple to start with and get these shapes down. Your sphere and your cylinder, those are the two first things. Then we move on to things like cones and, you know, cubes and all kinds of other things too. But these are the two main shapes that I do work with most in my classroom. All right, how are we doing?
Thank you, Nettie K. That was a wonderful introduction that you've offered us. And we thank you for doing that for us.
Yeah.
And so that's our beginning to our McCall College Art and Art History series. We want to thank Nettie K for giving us time and introducing us to some of the very basics of art. And so we look forward to where this series might go. Our plans are to offer the series during July, each Thursday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And if this goes well, then we might let it continue on into August. But right now, our plans are for July that we will offer this series. Again, Thursday at 7 p.m. And so you'll be able to find the recordings of these videos in two spots. They'll be on YouTube at NettieKStudio, NettieKStudio, and there's just an initial K on that one, isn't there? Nettie, initial K, Studio, all one word. Or we'll also have them on YouTube / McCall College. So those will be available to you. And so we hope you'll come back next week when we pick up again on the basics of art, and there'll be some art history thrown in. And so thank you, Nettie K, for getting us started so well.